Welcome to History with Master Squishies. In today's video, we'll be covering the history of the ME-262. We'll be going over who made it, the design, what nations used it, some of the battles that it took place in, and how it performs in-game. To start off with, the ME-262, known as the Schwalbe, or Swallow in its fighter variant, and the Sturmvogel, or Stormbird in its fighter-bomber variant. But there's also the name Jabo, but this was the unofficial name given to the ME-262 with bomb sights and bomb racks. The ME-262 was a German jet fighter and fighter-bomber designed in 1938 by Messerschmitt and was produced by Messerschmitt with 1,430 made. Starting in 1937, Hans von Ohain demonstrated that jet propulsion was an achievable and practical form of flight. As research and time continues, it's 1938. The project P1065 was started to create a Wunderwaffe, or wonder weapon, led by Dr. Waldemar Voigt and his team. Messerschmitt would start drawing up designs for the ME P1065 around the BMW 003 Axle turbojet engine. It's now 1939. Delays in research and development meant that it would lose the title of the first jet to fly in history. That would go to the Heinkel HE-178, which took its first flight on August 27, 1939. Skipping a year, it's now 1941, and the ME-262 would get its first test flight on April 18, 1941, using the Junkers Jumo 210G piston engines, since the BMW 003 turbojets weren't ready. November 25, 1941 rolls around, and the BMW 003 had arrived, and the next test flight would begin. The Junkers Jumo 210G would be kept on the nose just in case of a failure, which was a wise choice since just after takeoff both BMW engines failed. The ME-262 would head back to the drawing board until July 18, 1942, when the first true maiden flight would take place, but the engines were replaced to the new Junkers Jumo 004A engines. This would mark the first ever flight of a fully functioning fighter jet and would mark the new age of aerial combat. Multiple showings were made to high-ranking officials who enthusiastically accepted the design, but no production orders were placed. It finally was accepted in 1944 when it started full production. The ME-262 was vastly superior to all other aircraft at the time. However, due to it being deployed so late in the war, along with Allied air raids destroying airfields and factories where it was produced, it could never reach its full potential. There was a total of 32 variants, 9 subtypes, and 2 post-war variants ever designed or made. The ME-262 Schwalbe was a light airframe using 2 Junkers Jumo 004B1 turbojet engines and was mounted with 4 30mm Mark 108 cannons. It had a crew of 1, a wingspan of 12.6 meters or 41.4 feet, a length of 10.6 meters or 34.9 feet, a max altitude of 11,450 meters or 37,570 feet, and a max speed of 560 miles per hour. Next, we'll move on to its operational history. It's estimated that only 300 or less ME-262s saw combat, and of that, only 25 to 50 would ever be deployed at a time, which means it was constantly outnumbered by Allied aircraft. A few ace ME-262 pilots were Franz Schall with 17 kills, Kurt Welter with 29 kills, and Heinrich Bahr with 16 kills. The ME-262 first entered service on April 19, 1944. On July 26, 1944, Alfred Schreiber engaged a Mosquito PR Mark 16 and attempted to shoot it down. However, he was unsuccessful. On August 8, 1944, the first kill was claimed on a Mosquito PR-9. In August 1944, the first jet fighter operation would be flown. This led to 19 Allied aircraft being destroyed at the loss of 6 ME-262s. On November 26, 1944, the first ground-to-air jet kill was claimed by the B-11 detachment of the 2,875th Squadron of the RAF Regiment. January 1945, the Jagdgeschwader 7 was formed, but due to poor leadership and planning, 12 ME-262s were lost with little results. During March 1945, a large-scale attack was formed, with 37 ME-262s intercepting a force of 1,221 bombers and 632 fighters. As the battle ensued, 12 bombers and 1 fighter were shot down, at the loss of only 3 ME-262s. On April 24, 1945, 31 ME-262s were deployed on the Eastern Front and would continue to fight till the end of the war. However, their main mission was strafing runs. The ME-262s claimed 14 air kills along with 71 lorries, but they lost 16 ME-262s. Finally, we'll move on to how it performs in War Thunder versus how it performed historically. The ME-262 Schwalbe in War Thunder is well done. The engines are right, with them being a Junkers Umo 004B1 turbojet engine. The guns are right with the 4 30mm Mark 108 cannons. The max altitude is 12,500 meters, which could be achieved without a load, but fully armed it should be at 11,450 meters. And the max speed is 537.4 miles per hour, when it should be 560 miles per hour. All in all, the ME-262 is pretty well done, and there's nothing that needs to be changed. The speed could be increased upwards to 560 miles per hour. So with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, squish that like button, subscribe, and let me know what you want to hear about next. I'll see you in the next one.